All right, it is that time once again. Let's hit the books, part of the Hammer Betting Network, alongside the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Joey Knish. I am merely Brad Powers. We have our producer extraordinaire, Zach Phillips, alongside with us here. It will be a hot and heavy show here. We're going to do it rapid fire in about 25, 30 minutes. Knish has a hard out. So what will we talk about today? Well, it's some win totals, Power 5. They're out at 3-4 different books. I won't go too heavy. Keep in mind, guys, we got all summer, so I'm not going to – there's still, Knish and myself still want to get down specifically. Not going to talk group of 5 yet until that market opens up a little bit more. It's available at one book. So we'll talk win totals. We'll talk spring game reactions. I did watch 61 spring games. Before I get into anything, and we will talk about Knish's hot streak on the ice as well. Before I get into anything about that, let's pay the bills. Hit the books, part of the Hammer Betting Network, is brought to you by BetStamp. The easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is to use multiple sports books and always get the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp. BetStamp compares odds across every sports book for games, futures, and player props. You can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet. Download the app today. If you're looking to sign up for a new sportsbook account, please check out the offers available at betstamp.app/hitthebooks. Or you can hit the link in the description. If you sign up through this page, it helps support the show. Knish, long time no talk. Haven't talked to you in a couple weeks, buddy. How's it been other than cashing some tickets on the ice?
I know, a little week off there, and it's good to finally we're starting to see the little markets trickle out here. And I think, within the next probably month or so, it'll really start to ramp up. So, yeah, and Steve in the chat there, BetStamp. We will get Johnny and the bums over there on it if they can get some regular season wins and stuff in there. Yeah. If it's, let me tell you something. As soon as we get off this call, I'm gonna give Johnny an earful on that. Anytime I can, give them a chance to eat crow. But yeah, I'm excited with the stuff starting to drop. As you said, we play some game of years. We got some more win totals coming up. Excited to see the group of 5 conference futures at some point that I would not want to be the man having to put those out, but hopefully we can take advantage.
Yeah, I mean, conference realignment, obviously Big 12, American, Conference USA, from what I've seen, I don't think they have necessarily a good handle on it. So we'll talk about it at length throughout the course of summer. Keep in mind, guys, we've got 3 months to take advantage. There will be some opportunities, at least in my opinion, with a bunch, 12, 14 teams with some realignment here. Let's talk though quickly. Ice, you gave out, if I remember, a series price, right? Florida plus 155. That's a winner, right?
It's a shame for our friends in Toronto that one had to cash for us. So Florida was a winner, and we got Kraken, going tonight for all the marbles. They're kind of a significant dog tonight, so hope for an upset there to catch that one. And my oil cans, failed me last night. So hopefully for the show, we can get the 2+ money winners on here with Kraken coming through for us tonight.
I actually went to a playoff hockey game over the weekend. Friday night, I went to the Vegas Golden Knights game. Playoff hockey's pretty good. Got to see Connor McDavid. I have no idea about any hockey, but you could tell just from an athletic perspective that the guy is just a little bit different than anybody else on the ice. So that's all I can say about the ice. I barely know what icing is. So I apologize to our bosses, the Canadians. I am not a hockey guy. But kudos to you, Knish, for getting some wins there for the listeners in the audience here. Let's talk, I'm going to wrap up a few thoughts on as far as spring games go. I did watch 61 of them this year. Record for me. I'm guessing I jokingly tweeted it was a world record. I'm guessing no one's watched that many, but some thoughts. I got one. This is pretty abstract. I'm not sure how more often I'm going to be able to, watch 61 spring games, because I'm guessing that some coaches might not want their spring game televised anymore, because especially I'm not saying the Georgias of the world, but I'm talking specifically, the Iowa States, Kansas States, some lower level Power 5 programs where if a guy really stands out in the spring game, a la that Colorado wide receiver, his value as far as NIL and transfer portal is going to go through the roof. And any team that has a need at a certain position, they're scouting that spring game. They see a guy performing. I'm guessing we're going to see less spring games televised. So I'm not sure how long that advantage or at least edge that I perceive to have, how long that's going to, last. What's your thoughts on that,
No,
Knish?
that's a great point you bring up, because I know a lot of teams are, the new spring game is you're going shopping. Bruce Feldman has an article the other day on the Athletic about all the massive tampering that just goes on
Yeah.
all the time now in college football, and agencies are involved. These collectives are involved. An agent has, part of the article was like on these, on a lot of these professional deals, there's a certain like rake they can't go above, like 3% in that. On these NIL deals, it's unlimited. So if you're an agent, you're going in and feasting. And if you can get, you're going in the spring game, you're on a mediocre team. You can show out and then put yourself in the portal.
Yep.
And I'm going to the highest bidder, baby. I'm going to the market and seeing who, we talked Keon Coleman last. He didn't play, but these guys and as an athlete, you're just leveraging your opportunity now. So it is a totally different world, man. I think even if they're going to be televised, you're going to see like no starters going in. Like, if I'm doing the spring game, like I would say, everyone, thanks for coming out, but I'm playing the 2s, I'm playing the 3s, and I'm not even dressing a lot of our guys, especially anyone that might be on the fence in terms of a position battle. So yeah, it's a new world, my friend, that is changing rapidly.
Let's get to a couple quick comments in the chat. Brad, this is from Steve W. Can you speak in general when Vegas opens up win totals? I mean, Caesars Willie Hill has them out now. But as far as everybody else, I mean, Vegas is always behind. That's why, I'm not long for this state as far as living here. I mean, because we're just behind some of the other ones. In fact, somebody told me BetMGM put up some crazy win totals right now, and I looked, and they're not up in BetMGM in the state of Nevada, so I can't even drive down to Mandalay Bay and bet those. So I don't know. I'm guessing the first one usually, last couple of years has been Willie Hill Caesars. They've been really good. They've been first to market a lot. Second one will be South Point. I'm guessing right around Memorial Day weekend for them. And then your Circus and Westgates of the world, that'll be June, maybe even early July. They're just late to the party. But, DraftKings is up. FanDuel's up for Power 5. Caesars. BetOnline is up. So, you got multiple outs. You can get down at least on Power 5 as far as that goes. Aaron in the chat. How do you guys decide what percentage of bankroll to spend on win totals versus Game of the Year awards? Well, that's a good one there. It depends. I personally have the most success in win totals. So I probably most of my, off-season summer betting is going to be put forth on win totals. That'll be most of my bankroll that I have set aside for that. It just kind of depends. Awards, I don't do as much. I think you do a little bit more futures than me. I have bet 9 guys to win the Heisman. We're talking, those 9 guys are going to equate to maybe one team that I bet as far as the season win total. So a lot more season win total as far as my overall betting percentage. I would say even compared to Game of the Years, even compared to early week 1, it's still greater than 50%, even comparing it to all that other stuff lumped together. Well, what's your portfolio look like?
Yeah, it used to be a larger percent now, it's just, I don't know how to say this without sounding like it's harder to get, a larger percent down on some of this stuff. So I usually center myself. I know you're a massive win total guy. I usually get a little bit more picky with the win totals, and then try and get in on the Heisman futures, the conference futures, and that, and then betting a little bit, like larger of a segment on my, weekly plays in that. But hey, again, if you can get down on it, and you're comfortable, the bet, like Brad say, if you can get down on it right now, it's going to be, by the time the Circus and the other places copy and stuff, you can get down larger amounts. They're going to be shaped a lot more because you got, Mr. Powers over there. He's not waiting around for you to get in there. So, yeah, it obviously depends on the size of your bankroll, but usually, it's like anything. The earlier you can get in, the more edge you're going to have. So as long as you're comfortable tying it up, hey, it's a good way to get a bigger edge.
Yeah, so I've been told by the bosses, i.e. the guys that got larger bankrolls than me, to keep it on the DL as far as, not being hot and heavy. So, yeah, it's tough to get down. We're struggling to get down some of the G5 stuff that's, and I'm not talking about one guy going to win. I'm talking about multiple guys going at once trying to get down. So, yeah, it's the game you got to play, the game within the game. When do you enter the market? It depends. Look, I'll say this to anybody. Depends on what your bankroll is. What are you comfortable with the betting? I mean, are you going to hold out? You're going to get less of an edge because you want to bet, closer to the five figures. I mean, then you're going to have to wait until midsummer. If you're okay with nickels and dimes, it's even being a struggle to get to that at this point. I mean, that's kind of the max. But if you're a nickel dime guy, fire away. I mean, I'm not going to, begrudge anybody in that regard. So, shout out to Joey Knish. This is in the chat. Stephen Robinson for the last episode saying that Alabama struck out on Spencer Pratt at quarterback. Things must be dire for Alabama when they're going after former MTV stars to play quarterback, and even they say no. Spencer Pratt.
I know you're along the same lines with this. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this. My biggest game of the year play right now is Texas versus Alabama. I even added to that more.
I get it.
The other day. Talking to a couple guys I work. I think that I know that there's still 7 out there. There's still at 8.5 at one place out there. If rhymes with Jortnoy. In terms of a book that has over a touchdown on that one. And it's early. That one's not. You don't got to wait till November on that one. If you're looking, I mean, and that's one of the in September games. So Alabama's one of the bigger. I can't believe they don't have a quarterback. They just don't. You're not going out there and getting Travis Buckner if you're comfortable with your quarterback situation. So he's explaining.
Yeah, I know, Michael Pratt. He just misspoke. You know what I mean?
I didn't know you were a reality guy. I had to listen. I didn't know you were doing a beach guy. I know you're close there, but. Yeah, so to me, I just think the Alabama fade is a way. I think they're inflated in the market still, and they're not that kind of team.
Yeah, so I mean, this is probably the first time in the Saban era I took a position.
Agreed.
As far as season win total, I bet under 10.5. So I'm with you, Knish. I bet under a season win total for Alabama. So I think Texas is live. I think LSU is going to give them everything they could want. And then I think A&M is another team that I bet that game of the year against Alabama in that game. So, it's the first time I've had some anti-Alabama tickets at this time of the year. I can't remember that I've had something like that at this point because I'm always anticipating Alabama money to come in. So, I mean, what's the point? But yeah, I wondered who was moving the Texas game. So it looks like you got a nice piece there because that's moving on the 3 or 4 books that have those up. I've seen some money creeping in on the Longhorns there. So Alabama was a season win total. I bet like 65 or 70 of them at this point. Some not very strong, big positions. I'm waiting to get more and more down here. So we'll talk more about that next week. But that was one that I took. MGM, MGM must have just posted this. I'm going to have to look into this after the show. USC over 10.5 wins, minus 200. Oh, my goodness. I'd like to look at these. I did bet USC over 9.5. I think like minus 130. So, I mean, I made their season win total 10. They got some tricky road games, Oregon, Notre Dame, where the games will be closer to pick, but they'll be favored in every other game. But, I mean, they still have to play Washington, Utah. So, I mean, it's not a slam dunk, but yeah, over 10.5, I'd take the plus money. What's the straddle on those? I'm guessing that the take back I'm guessing it's not plus 180. I'll put it that way.
That also is the new thing where everyone that's opened the is adding a little bit of juice, which again, if you can get still an edge there, obviously, as you're saying, it's not a reason not to bet it, but now it seems like the new thing is to open these with a little bit of added vig inside. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't want to get too into these because I do want to get down, but MGM total of 7 on A&M. Yeah, over in that one, to say the least. I bet over 7.5. So that tells you how much.
Me too. That was the one I was good. We were going to give them out on the show. Stevie W beat us to it. So I like Texas. Obviously, I mean, I talked about it on the show with the future. So obviously, I like the regular season total over.
So I'm not going to get into too many more. Again, Knish and I like to bet. We do like to bet. I mean, I'm not afraid to tout it up, but I do bet though, folks. So I will. I'm not going to get into too many. I will. mention one, and I'm very high on this team. I mentioned on different shows, and people ask me, well, what's one big takeaway from the spring that you took? One team that I didn't anticipating betting, for or against, didn't know much about what was going on, haven't thought really highly of them for the last couple of years. One team that really caught my eye watching a bunch of spring games was Cal, mainly because they got a transfer quarterback from TCU. His name's Sam Jackson, dynamic athlete, control the ball. He's not built great, but man, he can run and throw. They haven't had someone like that at Cal in forever. They've been kind of a hard luck team, 3-12 the last 15 games in one score games. Why? Conservative offensive play calling and no playmaker at quarterback. Well, they got rid of the offensive coordinator. They're bringing the Texas State head coach Spavital, or however you say it. He not head coaching material, but I think he's an okay offensive coordinator. And they're going to run tempo. So, and they got a dynamic athlete. So Cal over 4.5 is one that I really like. It's still available. A couple books out there. It's moved to 5 at a few, but I think there's at least 2 or 3 books out there that have Cal over 4.5. So that will be my best bet on today's show. Cal over 4.5. Not that I think they win 6-7 games, but I think they can win 5 and they'll flirt with bowl eligibility. Did you have anything that I know you told me beforehand you don't want to give out too much. Is there any best bet material for you, Knish?
No, those that I see said that Texas A&M 7.5 is still pretty widely available around there. A couple of books have it, Joe, but I still see a 7.5 minus 130. I like that, quite a. There's a couple also in the Big 12 that all of these the teams that joined the conference, I thought had artificially deflated win total. Cincinnati opened up with a 4.5 at one, but so. I play again, smaller stakes, couldn't get a ton down, but I thought even the Houston, the UCF, the Cincinnati, all of the adders to the Big 12 kind of came in to a conference that, as you see that adjusting on the fly there from 130 to 160, just the way it goes on the show. It is, if you can find a couple of these got bet up, but a 4.5 on Cincinnati. I thought I liked the over there. I don't think. Again, coaching change, new conference, all that to me, that's too low. So I think, and I thought that was a couple of situations with teams that got brought over to the Big 12 because Big 12, as we saw last year, and even though we both like Texas, the 2 to whatever it is, 15 now, there's not that much separation. You've got a touchdown or less of separation between a dozen teams. So I don't think it justified that much of a downgrade for some of those newcomers from the AAC.
I thought in the win totals markets, the conference that was most mispriced was the Big 12. I had almost a bet on every single team. And I agree with you, Knish. I'm not saying that just to agree. I'm not one of those guys, but I agree that there was way too much deflation for the newcomers. Even though I'm not a big fan of newcomers, I don't want to bet over a season win total with Dana Holgorsen. But if you're going to give me a 4.5, sure, I'll take a piece of that. I mean, I made it 5. Cincinnati doesn't have anybody back, but 4.5. Shoot, again, thought it should have been at least 5, if not 5.5 on that one. UCF 6.5. That's the one team, and you mentioned this several weeks ago. There's going to be one of the 4 that I think can make some noise. It's UCF, just athletically. Over 6.5 was a bet that I made. I thought that it should have been at least 7. So that's just a few of the bets I made. Again, I made quite a few, but yeah, I agree with you. That conference was mispriced. So if you can get any of those, and if you want to, I know I'm saying rapid fire here, speaking fast, but re-listen to the show, smash that like button. But if you can find anything close to that, go ahead. I think there's edges there, at least a half win. Half win to me is worth about 70 cents. I don't know where you're at. Your Joey K's mathematical database, where you're at there, but. Any other things that have caught your eye? It's kind of a slower period. Transfer portal slowed down. I can tell you that I went through a bunch of teams, a group of 5, anticipating that the win totals will open up. I got a feeling week 1's going to open up this week. So I'm kind of scrambling in that regard too.
Okay.
It opened up last year this week. So, and that was widely available. I'm not talking that one book had week 1. I'm talking 5 or 6 books by the end of this week last year had week 1 up, and I'm talking every game. I'm not talking Florida State, LSU, just those types of games. I'm talking every game. So that's what I'm kind of anticipating here. anything else catch your eye in the last couple of weeks? Nothing really big newsworthy for me other than just grinding away as far as doing work, man.
Yeah, a couple, like you said, some small adjustment. You know what? Like, I'm excited. I think the next kind of ways, like, where are a number of these key portal guys still going to land? I think you've got a number of guys in the portal that kind of still looking for a home here. I remember Keon Coleman, we've talked about a number of times, but a couple of quarterbacks as well. So a few chips still to fall here. And as you said, I think the most interesting is, like, I really want to see how this offseason ends up playing out to kind of affect off seasons going forward. I think you already mentioned it with the spring game. I think you mentioned it where, like, I'll use the basketball example of Hunter Dickinson, where he waited until a lot of rosters were set. Then he jumps in the portal and basically has a bidding war on himself. And by all accounts, landed himself a 7-figure NIL deal. And I don't think you have enough guys in football kind of leveraging that post-spring free agency period. So I think going forward, you're going to see some more key contributors, jump in after this spring window, especially if you're an offensive or a defensive lineman that everybody's looking for. I'll tell you, if you're going to the Knish, agency, I'm advising you to, and you don't got a great spot, I'm advising you to jump in after the spring and then say, show me the money.
Yeah, because what we saw this past year, obviously, most of the best transfers moved on in December. I get getting a jump start. You want to get in the spring and whatnot, but I think you're right. We'll see a few more high caliber transfers next year. It's all about supply and demand.
I agree.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of demand when not a lot of supply right now. So, I like that, Knish. I like thinking outside the box. A couple things in the chat. Steve W., Kansas at 6.5. Yeah, under 6.5 was a bet that I made. One of my favorite ones. So I did bet that. That's widely available. There's some heavy juice now on 6.5. But again, I don't see them winning 7 games. And Kansas obviously won 6 a year ago. A lot of guys back. I love their coach. But again, they're not going to sneak up on anybody this year. Everyone's not going to circle W next to Kansas on their schedule. They'll take them seriously. And I just think Texas is better. Oklahoma's better. Kansas State's still better than Kansas. TCU is going to slip back, but I still think they're better. So they're kind of, in that mix. I would have made that season win total closer to, 5.5 or 6 there. So, and since we are talking Big 12, I guess we'll knock out the Big 12 today. In the chat, thoughts on Baylor under 7.5? Yeah, I bet it. Again, I'm closer to 7 there. I don't know what happened with Baylor last year. That was an extremely disappointing team. Watched their spring game, didn't see it, especially at the quarterback position. Not a fan of the quarterback. And I didn't see a lot of Jimmys and Joes, let's put it that way, like I did some of the other teams. So under 7.5 for me there, did bet it. Again, if there's one conference that was really mispriced, I thought it was the Big 12. Jacob Duffy in the chat, Big 10 chalky this year. Yeah, I think it's clear. 3 great teams, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. Then I think there's at least a touchdown plus gap to your next group of teams, that being Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, teams like that. So, very chalky. Unless you give me a really good hefty price, and keep in mind, Big 10, no throwing away divisions, right?
Not this season, going forward. So this season still got them go after USC and UCLA join. Then they're gone.
All right, fair enough. I'll have to see some prices. I think Wisconsin is a team that I really wanted to buy. Then I watched their spring game, and I think there's going to be adjustment. I did not realize that, I think they should be running the football more. I'll just put it that way. And you wouldn't hear me say that. I think Wisconsin should run more. Well, what I watched in the spring game, going from running 50 times a game to throwing 50 times a game, there's going to be an adjustment period there where when you got Malusi and Braylon Allen in the backfield, I'm running the football still. I don't care what Levy wants to do offensively. So, or who is it over there? No, it's Longo. Levy's at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So that is it for me, man. I know you got a hard out. We hit a lot of win totals here. Aaron Sullivan, some of the Pac-12s at 8.5 are fade worthy. Yeah, there's 5 or 6 teams that are priced pretty high in the Pac-12. Somebody's got to lose. It's a zero-sum game. UCLA might, especially if they start building towards the future with Dante Moore. That might be a team. I didn't bet it though. I didn't bet them under 8.5. That's about where I priced that one. So I didn't bet that one. The Pac-12 I thought was priced pretty accordingly, other than I anticipated SC money to come in, so I bet over 9.5. Because if we talk transfer portal, there's one team that did really better themselves in the transfer portal at the line of scrimmage after the spring game. SC needed a need at offense and defensive line, went out and got the best offensive and defensive linemen. So that I upgraded them in my power ratings after the spring. Anything else, Knish?
No, I think that wraps it today, and I think we'll have a more, hopefully some more of these can drop so we can get in even some more Windows totals next show.
Yeah, so guys, we will have a longer show next week. Hopefully some more stuff gets dropped. We'll, again, we're busy betting this stuff. We'll get down. I mean, there'll be plenty of opportunities. So we will mention a lot more bets next week. We'll see what other type of markets get opened up, whether it's conference futures, week 1 and whatnot. So we just thought, it'd be good to do a show this week, give you a few of the win totals that we have bet, and hopefully you listen to that. We'll say this, make sure you're subscribed to Hit the Books YouTube channel so you get notified in real time whenever a new episode drops or we go live. If you do enjoy our content, please smash the like button. If you're listening in audio form, please rate and review it 5 stars. Knish, any closing thoughts?
No, I think that's a good table setter there, and looking forward for more stuff to drop as we get further into it.
All right, man. For the man, the myth, the legend himself, Joey Knish. For Zach Phillips, our outstanding producer, I'm Brad Powers. You just watched Hit the Books on the Hammer Betting Network. Make sure you're following us on Twitter.